John.
Hey, Linnea.
We're going to quickly go over the art invitations, then we'll get into the more nitty-gritty, fun chit-chat stuff.
Yeah,
So today's theme is our three R's, and I'm going to remember that they're rest, relaxation, and recharging. And we're going to talk a little bit about how they're different, and probably some other stuff. So the first invitation is basically a map of what rest, relaxation, and recharging could look like. I kind of think of this island, and there's different paths to it, and different physical spaces that exist in this. So, what would that look like? And also, more importantly, how do we get there? The second one is to make a permission slip for rest, to either invite yourself to rest or just ensure that you can make space to rest in your life. And the third one is to make a rested, recharged, and relaxed self-portrait. Think about how that might make you feel or what that person could look like if all three of those can kind of perfectly align. So if you want to make art along, you're more than welcome to, because that's really the fun part of life is to make art about it, right?
yeah. It's a great part about podcasts is you can listen to one thing and do another at the same time. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to do a self-portrait, let's start it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John and I also made some art from last week's vibe check session. And we've also already shown these images to one another. So, John, do you want to talk about what you made from last week?
Yeah, so I ended up making an artist ID. So basically it just says artist ID. It says my name underneath it. Finished projects because I'm relatively new to art. So the number I got, and I'm not kidding you, was 68.
Okay.
So it was so close to like the perfect number of 69 of just being such a stoner
I have a
and
question.
being,
Does,
yeah, go for it.
does that mean that the one you're making now would be the 69th piece?
No, I know. It's painful. It's 69. It's 69
Okay.
on the dot.
That
This
one's
one counts as
68.
69.
Okay,
I threw it
cool.
in there. Yeah, it's
No pressure.
68. The next one will be 69. So I don't know what I'm going to throw into there. I put what school I went to because a lot of you guys are art listeners. So I'm imagining you went to some sort of school or like who taught you. I spelt school wrong because I'm dyslexic, and then I wrote none. And then I put for a for style. God, don't want to come off super pretentious. I was like, just my own because I've been learning on a couch by myself. So yeah, that was what I did for my art, my template. And if you guys want to expand on your template, go for it. But that's just sort of the baseline.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
love that. Why did you think
yeah.
that would make you sound pretentious if you said just your own?
Do you remember that guy you told me about who was like, my 11th instrument is my voice?
I think so.
Yeah, like that's how I wrote. I was writing that down, and I just was like, oh, as I wrote that, I was like, my own style. As in, yeah,
Oh,
I guess it is just
gotcha.
very weird. It's a weird shaky. I have slight tremors, and I don't exactly know where or when they came in, but of my life, but it's basically been the last couple years. I've noticed them a little bit more, but that's kind of put this weird sort of shake into my lines when I draw something. Whereas like I was obsessed with doing something straight at first, and then eventually it just kind of just I learned to just go with it. And yeah, that's why I have these weird, crooked, shaky little lines. But
It's highly stylized and it's hard to put you in a box, I guess. I know there's probably some artists out there who'd be like, oh, it's this with a little bit of influence of this, but it's just so very organically you. And
oh, thank you,
yeah, it's been cool to kind of watch all these
thank
characters
you.
come to life and how the images evolve too. Because sometimes at one point you showed me a drawing of this man. I think his name ended up being Doug. And then you ended up adding a whole bunch of words to it with some stories. I thought
Oh yeah, yeah,
it was a cool
yeah.
moment.
No, they evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you go back, they evolve a little bit more. The point of me putting a number for you guys and you guys to put your number would basically be to maybe if you can go back and look at your first drawing compared to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And yeah, just starting from where you started to where you are now.
in my studio, my work studio, I guess. I
Mhm.
have some images that I made when I was like maybe 3 or 4. And
Whoa.
it's so cool because I have this tendency either when it shows up more in my graphic design work, but looking around at my art, I can also see like, oh yeah, it comes up in other places where I have a tendency to just want to put borders on things.
Mm,
And I think of it
yeah.
as a form of containment, but in this 3-year-old drawing I did the exact same thing. I put an outline on my page. And I thought it was so cool that at this tender age, I still have these themes that I still use 30 years later.
Yeah. You are who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You started as an artist at 3.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
I guess well,
yeah.
most kids make art at a young age.
I don't think I did though. I was so far away from that.
Oh,
Like
wow.
so far removed. Yeah. It's just like being dyslexic and being like just not liking pen and paper. I basically just avoided it. I know my art teachers must have hated me.
It's not for
Not
everyone. I think of like art's for everyone, but also if it's not for you, then don't do it. I
it's
guess.
yeah. It's just if you're in the right time or space for it, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good way to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also did the make your ID, and I had made some of it last week, and then because I used a lot of glue and paper, I had to smush it in a book. But I
Nice.
forgot which book I put it in, so I technically lost my ID. And I was like, that's such a classic thing to do that I've already lost my ID and it's not even done being made yet. And then I found it and I kept working on it. And
Yeah.
not only did I do the artist ID, but I also included that I can't remember what the art directive was. It was something about duality, opposing forces. I should have looked that up, but whatever. So I have a little bit of that, but that also is one of those images that comes up a lot for me. And mine is all collage. I have a little gargoyle as what could kind of be considered the little image. There's no words other than it says take your best shot for enduring love. And it's made out of different colors and it's all magazine images and the water and the fire are hand drawn. You can kind of see a
I
little.
like that. I do. Yeah, I can see that. It's
I
wicked.
just glued them on. And also there's parts that are kind of coming out. Oh, and at the back, I forgot the back is my favorite part. It says always an artist. And I gave myself space to write more, but I don't really know if I want to add anything.
No, that's
I was like,
perfect.
what else
Always
do
an
I
artist.
write? So
Sometimes less is more.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
this week we're talking about rest, relaxation, and recharging. When you hear those 3 words, how do you differentiate them? Or like, how are they different for you? And how are they maybe the same for you too? Because things can be two things.
Yeah. I think rest is always your number one. So most of my life I've had pretty physical jobs. So just resting is the number one. Just sleep. Sleep. Get your 8 hours of sleep if you can, or if you're working your night shifts or whatnot, you're basically like, okay, I'm gonna sleep. And that's good. It does help you kind of, reset the scale and recharge. But I think the original one is to start and basically get that sleep and rest. So, or just lie down if you can and rest and relax in a certain environment, right? Like, uh, and for the other ones, I guess, so rest and relaxation is like when you have like the luxury of like having a weekend. So I would say it's like you can relax with just like doing something like trying to put yourself in a place where you're like, no, I'm actively trying to relax. Like that might mean I'm gonna do my morning routine. So for if like my morning routine on a weekend would be to basically start off with trying to make a good breakfast, black coffee, and listening to a record. I know I'm such a hipster as that slips out of my mouth. And to recharge is basically I would say getting the first two kind of gets me to recharged.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the synergetic experience when if you get this plus this, you make cookies or
Yes, exactly. So that's my version of the rest, relaxation, and recharging.
yeah. I like how you
Yeah.
express relaxation is like this longer, drawn out experience because I think that's so important to
Yeah.
take time off. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's something that's like privileged to say of make sure you have time to take off.
everybody's got schedules, and it's just what
Yeah.
time frame you're in. I find so it might even be if you have shorter periods of time, like your lunch break, whatever it is. You just go to your car and you're like, I don't like the people I'm working with, so I'm going to go to my car for 20 minutes and just unwind and just not be on my phone. Have just something different, you know?
Yeah. I think that is something that's really helpful for me.
Yeah,
Getting out of your routine, going into, this other space to really
yeah,
just disconnect because it's hard sometimes when it's all
yeah,
kind of mushed together.
yeah. Or I find recharging can be something like might be a phone call. Like with there are people that I get phone calls with that after I'm done, like maybe like 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, right? Like if you're just really into this conversation, that recharges you or sets you in a different direction.
Oh, big time.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I never really made the distinction between rest and recharging until someone explained to me that they're different and you need both of them. I had had 2 weeks off for the holidays, and I spent most of the 2 weeks just melting into my bed and napping and watching silly videos online. And I felt good, but I didn't get the experience of feeling recharged until I had a small gathering of art therapists at my studio and we made art and talked. And it was just that's where I got the energy from. And I think I needed both, or maybe I'm just justifying having two very chill weeks back to back. But
yeah.
I felt the difference immediately. And I was like, oh yeah, you kind of need both. And you need to know when you need it and you need to get it where you can find it too. Because again, if you only have half an hour to chill in your car, like that's yeah.
Yeah, it might just be that phone call. I think you're onto something when you're saying you had your artist friends there with you
Hmm.
and you guys were all working together. So, to have just people that are kind of on the same wavelength, that can be really refreshing.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
feel like you recently had one of those moments, or maybe it was last night when you were showing me pictures of what you were doing. You had the biggest smile on your face.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I was doing art with my buddy Kyle and my girlfriend. We both I don't know, it's just really nice to see people just kind of living in the moment
Mm.
and
Yeah.
just enjoying like self-portraits because we did our kind of assignments that we had last week. So we all did like either self-portraits or the IDs. Nobody got around to the opposites because I think that one is a little bit more technically hard. So if you're doing that one right now, good for you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I think it was just people with no real big purpose or goal in mind, just being able to hang out. That
Yeah.
was
I
that was
love that.
pretty much it. Yeah.
I
So
love art-based hangouts as a way to recharge because I think you named it. It's this like synergetic experience that happens when people collect and make art. Like when you're in
yeah,
a room when other people are making art, it's magical. Like you can feel the energy in the room. It's so inspiring and yeah.
it's something really nice. Like so I recently had a surgery and I had a few friends come over and like they had seen I'd been doing stuff on Instagram because I post on there a lot with my pictures and they're like, we'd like to try. And honestly, two of them had never really drawn and they made some really funny stuff. So like some what are they, minotaurs? I think like what are the half human, half horse people?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Minotaurs.
minotaurs. Yeah, so like yeah, they made these minotaurs. And my other buddy was like making a whale or whatever. We were just goofing around, but a lot of it is just people talking back and forth and just trying to put in a little bit of input here, not there. But yeah, it was really nice to see. Yeah,
I love when animals, creatures, characters come into our art. And I feel like, John, that's maybe 90% of your art, if not more. Like it's probably close to 100, but I don't want to speak in hundreds kind of things.
yeah,
95,
yeah.
but it's very people centered.
Oh yeah, I'm big on and faces portraits. I think that's just how I came off of when I would draw albums.
Mhm.
You would just get a lot of so like by drawing albums it's mostly faces and I found that was hard to do and people were kind of impressed by it so I was like oh I guess I'm getting that like dopamine hit when people are like good job you're like oh thank you so like I keep trying to do that and I think I've only made Frank once but I made him half dog half potato And,
Love that.
and and I do a lot of monkey men, which are like very much almost humans, but with more wrinkly faces.
Okay.
So
Love.
yeah,
I like that
yeah.
you're calling, yeah, you've given them names.
Oh yeah, Tomo, Tomo the monkey. I did a whole little mini series arc about him and fighting aliens. So that was a pretty great little series. And the fruit of I think it was like just basically the fruit of awareness. So it was just like him
Ooh.
eating this weird. I don't use a lot of color. I pretty much just do pens, black pen. And but I put in a little bit of color for like oranges for like mangoes and mango juices, and that was kind of like the highlight of each picture. So
Whoa. So this one
yeah,
time you use color, maybe not one time, but one of the
yeah,
other times you use color is in this drawing of this fruit of awareness.
yeah. Yeah,
At what point did you know you were going to add color to it?
I, so I asked people online about like, should I add color? And like everybody was like, yes, put color into it.
Okay.
Put lots of color into it. And I did. I put a lot of color into one or two other paintings, and or not painting, just pictures. And I was just like, I fucking hate this.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was like, I hate this more than anything. But I was like, if I do add color, it's like a sliver, and it's basically that is what I try to make like the focal point, a very small point, small picture with a real bright color that basically just makes it like be like, why is this here? Why are you different?
Yeah.
And I want more of it because it's a nice vibrant color, especially in like in such a black and white world. So like it should be like kind of just
True.
like how do you say it? Like just basically like kind of revered, like you're like, oh, this is something that's
Yeah.
very interesting. This is important
Highlight.
to, yeah, it is a real highlight, right? Like, especially because like I find a lot of the world can be very black and white, where you're just like, depending where you're at. So, like from me, I think a lot of my art comes from sometimes a darker place. So that's why it's a lot of it in black and white. So that when I do throw in a piece of color, it's to be sort of like, oh shoot, like we'll respect that, or
Very intentional.
okay, yeah, very intentional. So let me see. Do I have the OG Tomo? So like this is
Whoa. Okay.
okay.
This is cool. What's going on here?
Yes, this is just basically me warming up.
I'm so distracted by everything that's going on here. I have a million and one questions. I'm overwhelmed by that. Um,
Okay.
love this little crab, man. Is that a crab?
It's a crab sushi man. Yeah. Like it's Revenge of the Sushi.
Of course, I should have.
Yeah. Yes. So he's out there defending his sushi brethren.
Okay. Little, oh, I couldn't tell that is it this apple situation, this fruit? I don't see.
Ooh. So there is a fruit. Yeah, that's just
Oh, on the corner.
that's a little bong apple. Okay, so this is the OG. Yeah. Marijuana is legal in Canada. And then I tried this one out. So I was like trying to make my first piece of fruit. And
Okay.
I really liked that one. So
Cool.
that was kind of like some warm ups and some, oh, there's all, holy, yeah, this is a lot.
What did you,
Okay.
is that actual highlighter though? It's so bright.
It is a highlighter.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
just what I had around
Red
the
pen?
house. Yeah.
Red pen?
Yeah. It's a red pen, green pen, all the stuff I use, anybody can find in your home. Most people can find in your home.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, or you can find it in your local school. It's
Yeah.
really inexpensive. I think the most I've spent is $7 on some really nice little felt pens.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there's five of them. So we can do this.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that was the first one where I just kind of got inspired by monkeys and Tomo, and he was our first character.
Whoa, that's dark.
It's really yeah. Sorry.
That's dark. There's this like, oh, there's an eyeball in there. I love the shirt. It kind of goes back to you saying how you would travel and see other like fabric patterns and be really into it. It looks like
Yeah.
pale.
Halo.
Yeah, cool. The
Yeah.
texture of that sweater is awesome. The hand, you nailed the hand. Oh my goodness. Hands are so hard and that you nailed it.
Really? Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I really
Both.
wanted to make it look like he was reaching for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Yeah.
love how stylized the faces. It would be like I'm thinking lino cut. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. This is
Yeah.
when did you do this? This is really good. I just love so many parts of it.
This was pretty early on. This is my first, so I've only got I have like one and a half sketchbooks done. So this is my first sketchbook. So it's about halfway through actually. So I'm looking, yeah, I'm gonna say it's about halfway through my first little part of this, but
What's going on in this drawing? Can you explain it to me? Because some people aren't going to see it the way I see it.
I guess if we just describe, so there's a monkey, he's reaching for a mango, and behind him there is a hand with a gun. Um, the monkey has a halo over his head, and there's like a click, and like that's the hand of the thing. It's like no no nana, and it's like Tomo, and so that's his name. And then he goes, so it's no no nana, give Tomo death papa, which is like he's gotten sentient, and it's just like he wants more of it, and he's like, I don't care. Like if I can't have this, I want out. Like leave me alone. Like he's gotten to another place. So
Whoa.
yeah, who knows where Tomo goes from there? So that's the OG.
Whoa, hold up. I love this.
What's this one? Oh, the Serbian surfer.
The Serbian surfer. Okay.
Yeah, so I got a little bit of Russian. There's a Rat King on there. It's basically just like Eastern Europe, but like if you're gonna be a surfer in Eastern Europe, like you're gonna be a weird, fun character.
Okay.
So that's essentially where I built this guy's house and that behind it, and I put a little bit of highlighter into it so you could see on his
Yeah.
board. Yeah, yeah. So
That was the first thing I noticed. It also kind of looks like leopard print. Is that what I'm seeing?
yes, that's what I went for. Yeah, leopard.
I love it. I love leopard print.
Oh, okay. This is the Tomo. So this is Tomo part two. So
Okay.
he's had more mango juice, and now he's become more human. So he's learning more, and he's out here fighting and defending our freedoms against an alien.
Okay.
Uh, and then there's like just this guy who's like sort of an overseer, and he's like basically he's what is he saying? He's like fight that alien like your grandpa fought the last monkey to get on the ark. And he accident and he's like whoops, so he drops in like drops in this knife, and it's so basically the alien and Tomo are both in a pretty good scuffle, and right next to, so he's basically got mango juice or murder is where it's going for. And yeah, there's some aliens in the background
Of
picking up
course.
people, some planes coming to fight those aliens, and just like out in sort of the plains of Wyoming. So yeah, and I think that's probably the last. Let's see, last bit there, and we haven't really done a whole lot of color since. That was my last Tomo bit, so we're on a cliffhanger with Tomo. Definitely going to go back and try and figure out the Tomo scenario.
Mhm. I love
Yeah,
how you use line to build up dimension. The lines you put in to indicate that his mouth is coming out. It's very technical.
yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you. I I saw it, so I was like, I think that's how that would look.
Yeah.
So yeah, sort of rounded. Like we have like very not too many lines in our face, but these guys have way more. So you have to really kind of get in there and just be detailed. But it's tough to do with ballpoint.
Yeah.
But patience is key, and literally just concentrate. I love the fact when I can really do some art and I can just concentrate. My friend and my girlfriend were both saying last night, like, because like I'll be doing something and I'll go, and they're like, "What? Whoa!" And I'm like, "Oh, I guess because I forgot to breathe for the last 45 to like a minute while I'm on something with these shaky hands." So yeah.
That's another great thing about art is that it gives us that space to just exist. We don't have to worry about the time. We're just in it. And I think
Oh
we super need moments, whatever it is, whether it's art or wrestling or, you know,
yeah.
whatever your thing is. We need things like that in our lives more often than not, because
Oh,
not doing
yeah.
that is exhausting.
It it is. I think it's great when you can get into that moment. You
Mhm.
know, I find it's just like whatever your passion is. I used to find with wrestling when I was younger, the whole world would just evaporate. It
Mhm.
didn't matter that I wasn't getting good grades in school because of dyslexia. It didn't matter about like, how many friends you have. It's just there's this one area. And like for me, my whole world was where a bat was and just the people in that room and just basically being like my partner, my training partner, and I just working towards something that I knew one day would get me to a better place.
Yeah.
So like, and that's kind of the same thing I do with art, but now it's just into a shape, into like a sheet of paper.
I'm curious if, or how long it takes for us to kind of get into that space. Not necessarily how long into a drawing, but
Mm.
were you able, when you started making art, were you able to immediately kind of get into that flow, or were there some hurdles?
Yeah, I guess like in that zone, right? Like we all kind of know the feeling of getting into that zone. Pretty much, very much the day variant. Like how much like whatever was going on around me. But I did find that it was like with art, I've been able to pretty much to just sort of melt the world away and just that's what I like about it. I think sometimes it can take 10 minutes, like I don't know, or sometimes it can be like you're not feeling it the whole way through.
Oh,
And that's okay. That's okay. You're like, okay, I guess I'm fighting myself. I'm going back and forth and just trying to get myself through this picture. But I think we all have a piece. Like you probably have one that you're like, okay, we're just gonna get this done.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
I had all these amazing intentions, and then you're like, forget it,
yeah.
you know?
I think you're
So
overestimating my ability to finish things. I have way more unfinished things. I think I'm more likely to abandon it than to force myself to finish it,
oh
which
really?
it's so cool hearing your perspective of you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna get through with this to the end. And I'm like, maybe I'll just let this, hide in my dresser for a few months before I look at it again. Or
I think that might be us coming from two different worlds again.
yeah.
Like yeah, whereas like I guess mine's like trying to be not in this. I feel like artist is maybe like more flow, but I don't know. Maybe artist is hard to figure out. Like it just varies from person to person. Like there's a spectrum to it. Like for me, mine is to basically get the job done. As soon as I started, I do like it. Like I'm like, hey, we're gonna go through all these bases. Like I usually start off on an ear to the jaw to the eyes, whatever, and then I just feel like I'm in the zone and I'm feeling good for it. And like more often than not, like it's very rare to basically go through a picture and be like, okay, I hated this the whole way through, but like there's sparks where you're like, okay, I'm liking this.
Oh God.
So yeah, but I don't know. I don't feel right. As soon as I'm like I've started something, I'm like I can't until
Whoa.
like yeah, like we were trying to pull my girlfriend's braids apart today, and I was like, she's like, you have to go do the podcast, and I was like, oh no, but we're almost
Oh, you
finished,
did
and
it.
I'm like, we're not done. I left it halfway through, so I'm like, I have to finish this
Mhm.
once I start something. So I abandoned that project. Yeah.
That brings me back to our parachute untangling days where we just
Mm.
days, 8-hour days of untangling this massive parachute that smelt bad. Sometimes they smelt bad. Do you remember that?
They would smell so bad, seawater,
Yeah.
right? Like because they would just ship it with the seawater, and you'd be like, oh, that's different.
Where the ones who
So
got back from the desert had at
there
least
was a snake. There was one snake. I was like, holy, yeah, that was pretty terrifying. Yeah.
also poor snake. It does not belong here.
What? I don't even know what happened to the snake. Maybe I'm blocking it out.
I also, what I love about your art is that it's so like story driven.
Yeah, I I think so. I think that might come out of being dyslexic, like not being good at writing. Yeah, kind of wanting to tell my story, but just it won't be written down or written well. So it's like I can kind of express myself through this, and if somebody wants to talk to me, we can always just chat.
Have you ever heard of, I always say them wrong, zine? Zine?
No.
Zine. They're called zines. I always want to say
Okay.
zine because it looks like the word vine. And
Hmm.
when I read it, I just assumed it was zine, but it's actually zine, but I always say it the wrong way. Do you know what they are?
Okay. No. This is the fun part.
They're like little books. You can make them out of folding standard A4, like a printer piece of paper in a
Okay.
certain way. You can look it up online. And they're just little books essentially. And this is
Oh,
about change, and it's mostly just got pictures in it.
okay.
I'm more of a pictures kind of person, but I can see your little characters living in a little book.
In the zine world, yeah. I
Yeah.
guess so. Yeah, I could try that. Who knows what number 69 is going to
As someone who doesn't do a lot of drawing and mostly does collaging for the most
be.
part,
Yeah.
seeing how drawing centered you are has inspired me at least to make more space for drawing in my life.
Yeah.
Haven't really taken up that space, but I made a little collage book like this, but a little bit different. And I made it this weird shaped sketchbook. So it's small, there's like 4 pages maybe, and there's weird
Yeah.
shaped paper on each of them. And
Yeah.
some of them are just little strips of paper. I almost said fabric.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna kind of let that sit, and I think I'm gonna revisit it and try some pen drawing a la John.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, like a nice collage is because if you like doing borders already,
Yeah.
your border now is your collage, and now you're putting
Oh,
something through that.
whoa, I didn't even think of it like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's a
You
fun way
know,
just to use magazine scraps because you end up just using these little things that you might cut up and you're like, oh, I want to use that, but I don't know how. So also we did have a
yeah.
theme picked for next. Do you remember what it was? I'm just gonna look it up now. Ooh, handling rejection. Do we want to talk about that next time?
Hmm.
We love rejection.
Handling handling rejection. Too bad I'm gonna do better on next week's test.
Okay, cool. Well, we're
Yeah.
planting seeds here. It
Yeah,
reminds
perfect.
me of last week you were talking about your early drawings and you were calling them bad. And there was this instinct I had of like, oh, there's no such thing as bad art, blah, blah, blah. And as I was trying to edit our audio from last week, I was
Yeah.
realizing that audio editing is quite a refined art. And it's not just something that I'm immediately going to be good at. And I was
Yeah.
surprising myself saying, like, oh, I'm so bad at this. I was like, wait a minute. I've never done this before or haven't done this since high school. Like, why am I
Yeah.
expecting myself to be a genius? So mad
That's
respect to audio editors out there. It is a skill that
it's
but
yeah.
my brother's girlfriend, I think did her master's in it or something. Anyway, she
What?
has been so helpful in guiding me through a process. And
Yeah.
also really resonated with you're like, oh, I'm bad at this. And just you were speaking of I don't know if you used frustration, but just the growing pains of learning how to do something for the first time.
Yeah. It's okay to call yourself bad in the beginning, but then you work your way out through it. Yeah, because like it's like otherwise you just have this false sense of confidence. You're like I'm great because if I started off and was just like did that first like Post Malone drawing, I would have been like, oh, I'm great, and then like been like nope, no point in this. But like seeing the next drawing being like, hey, there was markable improvement from there, and we're just gonna keep ripping it
Yeah.
from there. So yeah,
I like that you normalize that it's okay to look at your art and know that there's areas that you want to work on, and
yeah,
also admiring what has been made. I think, again, we need both sides.
yeah. Yeah, you got to look at it and be like, "Oh, proud of you for starting, bud."
Yeah.
It's the same thing for the gym, like for anybody. Like you're like, or whatever medium you. I don't want to be like pigeonholing myself, but I'm like, yeah, the gym was kind of the same thing for me too. Where
Mhm.
you're like, okay, I'm lifting nothing, and then there's these massive dudes, and you're like, oh God, they're never gonna want to talk to you, but like you talk to those big guys, and they'll be the nicest dude in the gym for the most part. Not everybody, not everyone. Disclaimer: don't
Don't talk to
don't
all strangers.
all don't talk to all huge strangers in the gym. They don't always want it.
Right.
Sometimes you got to look in their eyes, and you're like, huh. He looks like he's going to rip my head off. Probably don't talk to that guy. But if you look and you give somebody the nod and they give you the nod back, because that's just etiquette, because we're all listening to our own music, so like if you give them the nod, they'll give you the nod, they'll chat with you. So like the same thing for art. Like I was like, my buddy Mikey, he was way, way better than me. And I was just like, oh, could you show me something? And he was just like, yeah. And you're just like, oh, that's so much nicer and so much easier, right? So talk to each other and learn that we're all novices.
Also, what I kind of liked about your gym story was that it really highlighted that people are complex and not necessarily scary people aren't necessarily scary if they look scary.
I get that a lot. I don't think I look scary. And most people like, but when I have a big beard, and am working out and I'm thinking of other things, people do tend to think that I'm not friendly. And then it couldn't be further from the truth. Like we chat, we're just going to chat and have a good time.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, people do judge. Like I am kind of covered in tattoos and larger. So I understand that I might be intimidating to regular people, but I really try my best to just be like the opposite of that.
Yeah, very
you
friendly.
know?
I like what you mentioned in last week's at the end, where you're like, oh, I'm excited to see us get better at this. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's such a good thing to remember
Yeah.
because we were
We're
at
pretty raw. I'm 68 drawings deep and we're 2 episodes into a podcast. So it's all pretty fresh. So you're like, oh, it's pretty exciting.
yeah, exactly.
Like it would be cool to interview. I think we could also interview artists.
Oh, big time. I think that's going to
Yeah.
be something we do for sure.
I think that has to be something. Like it's just I think it's such a cool way to go about it. Like
Mhm.
you with actual art background and me as somebody who's just enthused about their stuff. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to come on the show, we'll take anybody.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. And we've already mentioned a few people, like you've mentioned Mikey.
Mike, yeah, I probably it's my only form of reference. It's like you and Mike. That's it. My aunt. I have an aunt who draws.
Okay.
Let's bring her on.
Oh, that's wholesome. I love that.
She's sweet. She's a nice lady.
And I
Yeah.
love learning from everyone because everyone has something to teach us.
Oh yeah. There's like skill sets that like you're gonna be like a master in, and then there's other stuff you're just like not gonna be able to. And like that's how we all sort of work together.
Cool. And I'm sure this will play into next episode of rejection or handling rejection.
I'm in love with that episode. That's gonna be dope.